You found the home you want, but it doesn't have a pool or the outdoor living space that you see in that house. You see the potential, and the question I get as a realtor is, can I build these things in the back or not? Well, we're gonna have 5 simple steps that you need to take to make sure that you can build these. It's really important that you're communicating with your realtor that you're working with, that you have these plans, because there's certain steps they're gonna have to take with the listing agent to make sure that they can get you access to the property and get you the information you need to follow through these 5 steps. Step number 1 is to obtain a survey. Now, the seller might actually already have a survey that actually works and shows how the layout is currently, but if not, we'll need to obtain a new survey. And in that survey, we're gonna find where all the borders are of the property that you're looking to acquire. It's also gonna give us measurements of the house and give us an idea of how much space we have in that backyard. Step number 2 is understand where your utilities are in this home. So typically in Houston, we're gonna wanna call 811 and schedule them to come out and mark. This is where your water line is, this is where your electric line is, so on and so forth. Because if you're wanting to put a pool right in the middle of where your electric cable is, they're gonna have to reroute that and go around, and they have to have a plan on how they're gonna do that, right? So it's important that we mark this, and of course, it's important we're communicating with the seller to let them know, hey, we're gonna ask some people to come back there with spray paint and paint your grass, right? And we need to make sure they're okay with that. For step number 3, you might already actually want to involve a potential contractor that you're gonna be working with to build this outdoor space. And we're gonna wanna look at what are the regulatory requirements for this area. And there's really several regulatory requirements that you might need to check with. Might be county, city, and your HOA. We need to look at things like how close to the boundary of your property can you build? How close to the house can you build? How tall of a structure can you build? What kind of finishes do you permit? And are there rules and requirements for approvals for those things? Can we do that before we close, right? So this will give you an idea or a framework. There should be some documents that they provide that gives an idea of what could be done and how the space can be utilized according to those 3 government bodies. And in Houston, Texas and Katy, Texas, most houses have HOAs, so make sure you're checking that, especially as they're gonna have requirements for you to follow. Even if it's in your backyard, it still needs to go through the HOA for approval. Step number 4, you need to understand your available space and what your plan is to use that space. So at this point, you'll wanna have a contractor involved in some form or manner. They're reviewing the utilities, they're reviewing the costs of kind of getting those to you, the layout of the land and how it could be used. Maybe they can provide you a few renderings of what that backyard could look like. And now you have an idea, like, does it actually fit the dream house that you want, or do you need to move on and find the next property? Step number 5 is understanding your scope of work and your budget. So here your contractor should be laying out saying, okay, this is a framework of what you've told me you want. We're gonna need to run the utilities over this way. It's gonna cost X amount to do it this way and build out this backyard. So now you have a price in mind, and then you can evaluate, okay, with the timeline of my purchase of the property and whenever I plan on building these things, does that fit with the mind I had of doing this, and how can I finance this, etc., right? So now you have that perfect plan to get you that dream backyard with that dream home. Make sure you're following the 5 steps. Again, just to recap, the 5 steps is 1, you wanna make sure you have the survey. 2, you wanna make sure you understand where your utilities are on the property, mark those out. 3, you wanna check with your regulatory members, that's your city, your county, and your HOA. Your contractor can most likely help you check and verify those things. 4, you wanna make sure that the plan fits with your desired use of the space. And then last of all, understanding your budget and the timing in which you plan on going out and building that back dream yard. Hope this video helps. We will see you at the closing table.